Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today we are going to be doing a preview on a movie named Third Marriage, produced by Ruth Kadiri. What will you do if after your second divorce you still end up marrying an abusive third wife? At the beginning of this movie, we see Angie and her husband JD entering into their house after their honeymoon, and we also see Ime, who is JD's sister and also Angie's best friend, coming out of the kitchen and welcomed them. But Angie wasn't happy about it and asked her husband why his sister was in their house. He replied her and said that he asked her to come to the house to clean and cook so they wouldn't come back to a dirty house. Angie wasn't happy about it and stormed to her room. When she was arranging her clothes, she saw her jewelry box and had an idea. Then we see her going out of the room and coming inside again. Then she frantically started searching her jewelry box and her box, indicating that something was missing. Then she called out to her husband JD and told him that a jewelry he gifted her is missing. Before he could speak, she stormed off to the living room and accused Ime of stealing her jewelry. Ime was so shocked that her best friend could accuse her of such, but when she tried defending herself, Angie went into the room where Ime kept her bags and started searching for her jewelry, and she found it. JD wasn't shocked and left the room, indicating that he believed his sister couldn't steal the jewelry. When Angie saw this, she asked Ime to leave her house and followed her husband into their room. When she got there, she tried arguing with her husband because he didn't back her up against his sister, but he told her that she framed his sister, and at the same time, Ime was at their door and overheard their conversation. And she came into the room and asked Angie if this was true, and Angie confirmed it, so she left the house. At night that same day, when they were having dinner, JD tried bringing up what happened earlier on about Angie accusing Ime of stealing. Angie got angry and cleared the table when JD wasn't done eating, saying that he wasn't obedient and appreciative enough after she made a nice dinner for him, but he rather talk about his sister. That same night, when Angie was in the room, JD went to talk to her about what was really happening in their marriage, as they have been fighting since they got back from their honeymoon, and he's trying to fix the problem, but Angie still argued with him. When they were settled in bed, Angie tried being intimate with JD, but he refused. Then she started crying, so he had no choice but to forgive her. The next day, Angie was bored at home after JD had gone to work, so she called Ime. When Ime saw her call, she was surprised, but she picked the call, and Angie then told her she wants to go shopping and she wants Ime to go with her. Ime asked her if she had selective amnesia because of what had happened yesterday between them, but Angie told her they were best friends and that she was going to explain to Ime what really happened, so Ime decided to go to hear Angie's explanation. Back at JD's office, him and his friend were talking about how marriage has been treating JD, and JD said he was happy, but then his friend brought up his failed marriage and advised him to make his current marriage work. But JD didn't feel offended because he knows his friend meant well for him. So he just told his friend he knows he made mistakes before, but he thinks his current marriage is the right one. When Ime got to the house, Angie hugged her and told her that what happened yesterday was a prank. Her husband had passed the test and he handled the situation just as she wanted him to. Ime accepted her explanation and was relieved, and they hugged it out. JD got back home immediately the women came back from shopping and was surprised to see Ime in the living room after what happened yesterday. But Ime told him that Angie explained everything to her and they are good, and he just passed the prank test. Angie heard her husband's voice and came to welcome him. She hugged him and asked Ime why she was disturbing her husband. He just got back from work and he's tired. Then she asked JD to tell Ime that he's tired and she should go. Ime took it that Angie was just joking around and wanted to spend time with her husband, so she left. The next scene shows JD watching football on a TV and Angie coming out from the kitchen. When JD saw her, he asked her to help him with his phone, which was upstairs. She stared at him briefly and went upstairs to bring the phone. When she got back to the living room, she pretended to want to hand the phone over to JD but intentionally dropped it, so it fell on the floor and broke. JD was shocked. Angie said she didn't know JD would move from the place he was sitting because he couldn't get up to get his phone himself. The next day, JD was working with his laptop in the dining when Angie saw him sitting peacefully. When he went to the kitchen to get something, Angie intentionally scattered the living room and asked JD why the living room was scattered. Then he replied her and said he didn't notice. She started talking to him rudely and tried to snatch his laptop from him, but he got up immediately and told her he was wrong and he was going to clean the living room so as to prevent the argument that was about to happen. When he was about to go upstairs to drop his things, she switched her mood immediately and sweetly asked him to get her water. At night, he woke her up to have a conversation with her. When she woke up, JD asked her if he had done anything wrong to her, but she replied and said he's only saying this because she didn't allow him to abuse her, but JD reassured her that he will never hurt her. The next day, JD decided to do something nice and make breakfast for them, but Angie wasn't having it. She yelled at him and told him that he should clear the table. He later went to his sister's house to tell her what has been happening in his marriage, but Ime couldn't believe it and said that Angie is the sweetest person. But JD begged her to talk to Angie about her new behavior. When Ime got to their house to talk to Angie, she saw that Angie's hand was bandaged, so she asked Angie if JD hit her. But she started talking as if JD really hit her, and she was trying to cover up for him. She said that she and JD were having an argument and there was a knife on the table which he mistakenly used to stab her on the hand. Then Ime begged her to confide in her anytime JD beats her. As she was about to leave, JD got to the house and saw that Angie's hand was bandaged and he was confused. And Ime, thinking that JD hits his wife, didn't talk to him and just walks away. Then Angie took off the bandage on her hand and told JD that this is just the beginning. JD was confused. When he got to the room, he apologized to Angie and Angie told him never to talk about their marriage to outsiders, so they reconciled. The next scene shows JD trying to get intimate with his wife, but she hits him hard in his eyes that it got bruised. The next day, he was preparing for work, but Angie told him to call in sick at work because the bruise was very much visible, but he refused. Then she gaslighted him that he caused it and he would have left her when she said no. When he was eating his breakfast, he noticed something off about the tea and started choking. Here, we find out that Angie added peanut to JD's tea, which he was allergic to, and she refused to give him a shot until he agrees to call in sick at work. So he agrees and stays at home, and she apologized later about what she did. Then she tried gaslighting him that it was his fault because he refused to listen to her, and then he told her she loves him. The next day at work, he opened up to his friend and told him he was tired of the marriage, but his friend reminded him about his past marriages and told him that maybe the fault is his and he has to make his marriage work because this is his third marriage. At home, Angie came out of the kitchen and asked JD, who was watching football, to do the dishes, in which he agrees. When she came back to the kitchen, she found out that he hasn't done it and poured a cup of water on him. They started arguing and JD snapped. When Angie realized the situation, she called Ime to make sure Ime hears JD yelling at her to make it look as if he was hitting her. Then she started hitting her body on the wall, shouting to make sure that the security guard hears her so it would look as if he was abusing her. JD was speechless. Later on, Ime arrives at the house to check on Angie, but Angie started pretending to cover up for her husband to make it look as if he beat her. Ime confronted JD about the situation and told him that she will report him to the police and he will go to jail because he is a boxer and isn't allowed to hit people or women outside the ring. JD went to see Angie's mom so she could talk to her. When Angie's mom got to their house, she tried talking to her daughter and telling her that JD is a good man, but Angie didn't want to listen. She told her mom that she didn't want JD to beat her the way her dad beat her mom till he died, and also the way her sister's husband beat his wife until she landed on a wheelchair. She also said her mom encouraged her sister to stay in an abusive marriage and she wouldn't allow any man trample on her in the name of marriage. Her mom, seeing that she was stubborn, left the house. When JD got back home, he greeted Angie and saw bruises on her face. She didn't reply him. She just stood up, went to the door and locked it. Then she started shouting that JD should stop hitting her, and she started hitting her body on the wall so the security guard would think that JD is beating her. When she noticed that the security guard was at the door, she opened it and ran outside and started crying. JD saw this and just closed the door and went into the room. The security guard asked her why Oga was beating her and asked her to call the police, but she refused and said that he has to go inside and make food for her husband. The security man tried stopping her, but she refused and said even if her husband beats her, that he wouldn't kill her at least. When JD was about to leave the house for her, she asked him if he likes her gift to him and told him that he will see Shege next time he tries telling anybody about their marriage. He then told her that he's tired of the marriage. She stood up and told him that he can't divorce her, that she's his last bus stop and will destroy him if he tries to divorce her. And she has witnesses, including JD's sister, to testify against him because he is a boxer and shouldn't hit a woman outside the ring. So he realized that she has been doing all those things just to gather evidences against him. He was disappointed and left the house. When Ime got to her brother's house, she saw that Angie's hand was bandaged and asked her what happened to her. And she replied that she fell. Ime doubted this and went straight to the security man to ask him if JD beats his wife. He hesitated at first but confirmed it when Ime threatened him. When JD came back to the house with his friend Sam, he saw the bandage on Angie's hand, and before he could ask her what happened to her, Ime slapped him and told his friend Sam that JD beats Angie. Sam turned against JD and asked Angie to report him to the police, but she refused. So before leaving, Sam and Ime told the security guard to call the police anytime he notices JD beating his wife again. Later in the day, Angie's mom also came to the house to confront JD and warned him that next time he lays his finger on her daughter again, that she would get him arrested. From then on, JD stopped opposing Angie and always obeys everything she said exactly the way she wants. One day, Ime bumped into JD's ex-wife Anita. After exchanging pleasantries, Ime apologized to Anita, thinking that JD also treated her bad. But Anita was shocked and said that JD can never beat a woman. So Ime just told Anita that she was lucky that JD now beats his wife. When Ime left, Anita recalled that she was the problem in their marriage. Also, herself and JD separated on good terms. So she called JD and asked him to meet up. JD told Anita about everything happening in his marriage. So she asked him to plant a small camera in his house so he would be able to capture everything Angie does to him and expose her, since no one really believes him. The next day, he got the camera and planted it on his door. When Angie came back home, he tried provoking her, but he failed. The next day, he tries again, but this time he threatens her with divorce, which triggers her, and they started arguing, and then she pushed him. He hit his head on the wall and fainted. Angie ended up hitting him several times too after he fainted. Then she called Ime and started crying and lying that JD was beating her, and she tried defending herself by pushing him. When JD woke up, Angie tried lying, but he recalled that she pushed him. There was a knock on the door and it was the police. The police said that someone had reported to them that a man was beating his wife, which Angie denied and dismissed the police officers. Ime came that same night to ask Angie why she lied to the police. She replied and said that she cannot report her husband and that he's going to change. When JD came to the living room where Ime and Angie were sitting, he asked Angie to remove her bandage that she put on her hand. Ime tried to stop her, thinking that she was truly injured, but she obliged and removed the bandage. And surprisingly, there was an injury on her hand, which she obviously did to herself. Ime saw this and yelled at JD. She told him that she was ashamed and disappointed at him, so JD just left them and went upstairs. The next day, JD invited Angie's mom, his friend Sam, and Ime, his sister, to his house. So Angie was surprised and asked JD what was going on. He then said he has an announcement to make and that he's divorcing his wife. Before he left the house, he asked them to help Angie pack her bags and also check their phones. When they did check their phone, they saw the video of Angie abusing JD and they were all disappointed. Angie explained that she did it to prevent JD from abusing her, so she became the abuser. Angie left the house with her mom. Sam and Ime also apologized to JD. That is the end of the movie. Do well to watch the original movie on Ruth Kadiri 247 channel. And also, don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.